All right, today we're going to talk more about factoring expressions. All right, we did a little bit review of greatest common factor on Friday, so we're going to talk a little bit more about factoring expressions today. All right, so let's review what is factor. Okay, factors are the numbers that multiply together to make a product. So 2 times 10 equals 20. 2 and 10 are the factors. 20 is the product. The product is the answer in a multiplication problem. The factors are the numbers that multiply together to make the product. All right, so we need to find the greatest common factors when we are factoring our expression. So the greatest common factor is the largest factor two numbers have in common. Okay, the largest factors that two numbers have in common. So we are going to take a look at some numbers and find their greatest common factor, and then we're going to use that to help us factor out our expressions. And I cannot find my eraser. So there we go. All right, so let's take a look at these two numbers. How about 54 and 27? I want to know, well, what's the greatest common factor between 54 and 27? So I'm going to list some of the factors I know. Okay, so 27 I know is 1 times 27 and 3 times 9, and that's it. All right, so I know 27 really well. I want to think about these numbers and see which ones of these I think go into 54. Well, I know that 9 times 6 is 54, so I might use the number 9 as a common factor. All right, but let's just double check 27 there. Let's see. And how we can check to see if something is a factor is we can divide. So I'm going to do 54 divided by 27. And I get, oh, I got 2. So 2 times 27 equals 54. So now I know that my greatest common factor of these two is 27. Now you guys won't have some that are this difficult, but I just wanted to show you, to remind you, you can use division to find some of the factors that you don't know. So let's factor some expressions. So let's say I have the expression 3x plus 12, and I want to factor out the greatest common factor. So I'm going to look at the two numbers that I have in my expression. I have 3 and 12. I'm going to find the greatest common factor of those two. Well, 1 times 3 is the only thing that makes 3. 12 is 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. But I didn't even need to do all of that because all I had to do is think, well, is 3 a factor of 12? That's all I need to think of. Is 3 a factor of 12? Yes, it is. So I'm going to factor out or divide out a 3 from both of these numbers. So I'm going to write my 3 out here, and I'm going to have something plus something, right? I'm going to divide the 3 out of my x. So 3 divided by 3 leaves me with 1. 1x, I could write 1x, or I can just write an x. Okay. And then 12 divided by 3. 3 times 4 is 12, so 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I'm left with 3 times the quantity of x plus 4. So all I did was take the 3 out, divided the 3 out here, divided the 3 out here, and I'm left with x plus 4. Let's see if this works. Let's double check. 3 times x is 3x, my plus sign. 3 times 4 is 12. Look, I got the same thing that I started with. All right, let's try another example. Let's do 10m plus 60. Okay, so I'm looking at my two numbers here. I've got 10 and I've got 60. And I want to think of a number that they both have in common, factors that they both have in common. So let's do my smaller number first. 10 is 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. Are any of these also factors of 60? Yes, they are. They're, in fact, all of them are factors of 60. 2 times 30 makes 60, 5 times 12 makes 60, and 10 times 6, right? 10 times 6. I hope that struck you right as soon as you saw the 10 and the 60. I'm going to divide out the 10 from both of these numbers because 10 is my greatest common factor of 10 and 60. So this is how I'm going to write it out. This is what you're going to write on your paper. You're going to put your 10 on the outside of your parentheses. And you're going to have two things that you're either adding or subtracting. Here I'm adding because I have an addition problem. 10 divided by 10. 10m, I'm going to divide the 10 out. I'm just left with m. 60 divided by 10. 10 times 6 is 60, so 60 divided by 10 is 6. So I'm left with 10 times m plus 6. Okay, 10 times the sum of m and 6. And if I was going to double check to see if it works out when I distribute my 10 times m is 10m. 10 times 6 is 60. So yes, I get the same thing I started with. So I did get the right answer. Let's try one more. Let's see. I'm trying to come up with one that isn't going to be. All right, let's do 18n minus 15. 18n minus 15. All right, come on, let's get focused here. Okay, camera. There we go. Okay, 18m minus 15. All right, so I need to think of I'm looking at the 18 and the 15. I know that 18 and 15 are not going to be factors of each other. I need to find my greatest common factor. So let's start with 15 because that's the one I probably know the most. 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. So looking at these numbers, are there any of these numbers that will also be a factor of 18? Well, 1 is, but we're not going to use 1 because 1 is a factor of every number. 15 is not a factor of 18. It doesn't end in a 5 or a 0, so 5 is not a factor. Is 3 a factor of 18? Let's think. Well, 3 times 6 equals 18. So 3 is going to be the factor that I use. So this is how you're going to write it on your homework or on your classwork today. You're going to write your 3, your greatest common factors going on the outside of your parentheses. I'm going to have a minus sign between my two numbers because I have a minus sign here. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So I have 6n. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So if I factor out this expression, 18n minus 15, my new expression is 3 times the difference of 6n minus 5. 3 times 6n minus 5. If I was to go distribute my 3 again, I would get the same answer. Let's do one more problem like that, and then you guys are going to work on your Cami page. How about 12x plus 21? 12x plus 21. All right, 12 and 21 are not factors. Neither one of them is a factor of each other. So I need to find my greatest common factor for these two. So let's think about one of them. Let's think about 12. For 12, I have 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Are any of these numbers also a factor of 21? Are any of these also a factor of 21? You can use your multiplication chart if you want to look and see if 21 is on the list of any of these, but we should know by now that 3 times 7 is 21. So that is my common factor. 3. I'm going to use 3 because 3 is a factor of both 12 and 21. So I'm going to set up my new expression. My greatest common factor is 3. That's going on the outside of my parentheses. On the inside, I'm going to divide both terms by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. I have to keep that x there, 4x, plus 21 divided by 3. 3 times 7 is 21, so 21 divided by 3 is 7. And now I am finished. I have factored out this expression. So 12x plus 21 is equal to 3 times 4x plus 7. Okay, so that's what you're going to do in today's Kami page. You're going to take the expression, you're going to factor out its greatest common factor. You're going to divide each term by that greatest common factor. All right.